In the dead of night, under a sky torn apart by relentless thunder, Elena staggered through the mud-slicked fields, her clothes drenched and clinging like a second skin of despair, her breaths coming in ragged gasps as if the storm itself were chasing her soul. She had fled the city hours ago, leaving behind the shattered remnants of a life marred by betrayal and abuse, her ex-husband's cruel words echoing in her mind like distant lightning cracks, "You'll never escape me." Now, miles from anywhere, her car abandoned in a ditch, she spotted the faint glow of a ranch house on the horizon, a beacon in the chaos, and with her last ounce of strength, she pounded on the door, whispering through chapped lips, "Help me, please, claim me tonight," not knowing if she meant shelter or something deeper, something that could mend the fractures in her heart. If you believe in kindness and second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your own story of redemption, share this video with someone who needs a reminder that hope exists, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts for more tales that touch the soul. The rancher who opened the door that fateful night was named Harlan, a man weathered by years under the unforgiving sun, his broad shoulders carrying the weight of a solitary life on the vast Montana plains. His wife had passed away 5 years earlier in a tragic accident, leaving him with only the cattle, the endless fences to mend, and a hollow ache that no amount of hard work could fill. He stood there in the doorway, silhouetted by the warm flicker of a lantern, his eyes narrowing at the sight of this stranger, disheveled, trembling, with bruises blooming like dark flowers on her arms. Without a word, he pulled her inside, wrapping a wool blanket around her shoulders, the scent of hay and leather enveloping her like a promise of safety. As the storm raged outside, rattling the windows like angry spirits, Elena collapsed onto the worn sofa, her body finally giving into exhaustion, while Harlan stoked the fire, his mind racing with questions he dared not voice yet, wondering if this intrusion was a curse or a long-awaited salvation. In the days that followed, Elena found herself enveloped in the rhythm of ranch life, a world so far removed from the concrete jungle she had escaped that it felt like stepping into a forgotten dream. Harlan offered her a small cabin on the property, once used for hired hands, and she took to helping with chores, feeding the horses at dawn, when the mist hung low over the pastures like a veil of secrets, or mending tack in the barn as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and regret. But the challenges gnawed at her relentlessly, nightmares of her past haunted her sleep, waking her with screams that echoed across the empty fields, and she flinched at sudden movements, her trust shattered like glass underfoot. Harlan noticed it all, the way she avoided eye contact during meals shared in silence at his kitchen table, the tremor in her hands when thunder rolled in the distance, reminding her of the night she arrived. He struggled too, his own grief a silent companion, making him gruff and distant at times, afraid that opening his heart again would invite more loss, yet compelled by an inexplicable pull to protect this woman who had appeared like a ghost from the storm. As weeks turned into months, the Montana seasons shifted, mirroring the slow thaw in Elena's frozen spirit, the harsh winter giving way to a tentative spring, where wildflowers pushed through the soil like acts of defiance. Harlan began to share fragments of his life, not through grand revelations but in quiet moments, showing her how to gentle a skittish colt in the corral, his large hands steady and patient, teaching her that strength could be kind rather than cruel. Elena, in turn, found herself opening up during long rides across the rolling hills, where the wind carried away her confessions of the abuse she had endured, the isolation that had chipped away at her self-worth until she felt like a shadow of herself. The challenges mounted, her ex-husband's calls started again, traced through old friends, his threats seeping into her newfound peace like poison in the well, forcing her to confront the fear that she might have to run once more. Harlan faced his own demons, the guilt of surviving while his wife hadn't, wondering if he deserved this budding connection or if it was merely fate's cruel joke, testing his resolve to remain alone. Suspense built like gathering clouds as summer arrived, the air thick with heat and unspoken tension, the ranch buzzing with the hum of cicadas and the lowing of cattle driven to higher pastures. Elena's struggles intensified. She discovered she was pregnant, a secret from her past life that now bloomed within her, filling her with terror at the thought of bringing a child into her chaos, yet igniting a fierce protectiveness that made her cling to this place, to Harlan's quiet strength. He sensed her turmoil, watching her from afar as she wandered the fields at dusk, her hand resting on her belly, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. One evening, as a rare meteor shower streaked the velvet sky, Harlan found her on the porch, her eyes fixed on the heavens, and in that moment, something shifted, the barriers crumbling like old fence posts under pressure. He didn't push, instead, he sat beside her, his presence a steady anchor, allowing the silence to speak volumes about the healing that was unfolding, thread by fragile thread. The turning point came on a night much like the one she arrived, a storm brewing on the horizon, lightning illuminating the vast expanse of the ranch like flashes of memory. Elena's ex had tracked her down, his car pulling up the dusty drive in the fading light, his face twisted with rage as he demanded she return, his words slicing through the air like knives. Harlan stepped forward, his frame a wall between her and the threat, his voice steady despite the storm in his eyes, refusing to let harm come to her. The confrontation escalated, fists flying in the pouring rain, mud churning underfoot as Harlan fought not just for Elena, but for the life he had begun to envision beyond his solitude. In the end, the authorities arrived, called by a neighbor's watchful eye, and her ex was taken away, the chains of her past finally breaking. That night, as the storm subsided, Elena and Harlan sat by the fire, her head on his shoulder, the warmth seeping into their bones, and in the quiet aftermath, he claimed her, not with possession, but with a gentle vow of partnership, his hand covering hers over the swell of her belly, promising to build a future where love could flourish unchecked. From that night forward, the ranch transformed into a sanctuary of renewal, the memory of it etching itself into their souls like a brand of enduring hope. Elena gave birth to a daughter under the clear autumn skies, the child's cries mingling with the rustle of falling leaves, a symbol of second chances blooming from the soil of hardship. Harlan, once a man adrift in grief, found purpose in fatherhood and companionship, his laughter echoing through the barns as he taught the little one to ride ponies, Elena watching with eyes brimming with gratitude. The challenges they had faced, the isolation, the fear, the battles with inner demons, faded into lessons that strengthened their bond, turning scars into stories of triumph. As years passed, the ranch thrived, not just with livestock but with the kind of love that withstands tempests, a testament to how one act of kindness in the darkness could illuminate an entire lifetime. If this story has touched your heart, reminding you of the power of compassion and resilience, please like, comment with your thoughts, share it far and wide, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts. We create these tales to inspire, and your engagement keeps the light shining. Before we wrap up, I'd love for you to comment your favorite line from this story. Let's see which moments resonated the most.